Senate Bill 347 and recognizes the Honorable Cole Hefner to address the issue.
Good morning. How are y'all this morning?
Morning.
Good, huh? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Senate Bill 347 seeks to take the same open record standards that apply to other curriculum materials passed through the State Board of Education and extend them to the Student Health Curriculum Selection process. The School Health Advisory Council, or SHAC, is designed to facilitate input from the community as decisions are made with respect to what goes into local health curriculum in public schools. The Advisory Council makes recommendations to the Board of Trustees, who then select the materials to be added to the health curriculum. The Board of Trustees is currently subject to the Open Records and Open Meetings Acts. The School Health Advisory Council, however, is not. This bill would help ensure that parents are provided the same transparency with regard to the student health curriculum that they are provided in all other areas of their children's education. This type of transparency is imperative to providing parents with insight as to what is being taught to their children, especially when delicate subjects are involved. Ask for your favorable consideration, and if y'all don't have any questions, I have reserved the right to close.
Members, are there any questions of Representative Hefner, members? Not hearing any, we'll proceed down to public testimony at this time and give you the right to close. The chair calls Rebecca Ecker. Good. If you just lay them right there, she'll come back and get them. All right. Hey, we got an assistant clerk. Now he knows. Now he knows why we put him there. All right. Well, he can put it on his resume. You can put it on your resume now. I'm sorry, you go right ahead, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. My name is Rebecca Ecker, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to testify against Senate Bill 347 on behalf of myself and the Texas Association Concerned with School Age At-Risk and Parenting, or TACSAP. I live in McKinney and am a constituent of the bill author, Senator Paxton. I have been an educator for 32 years, with the last 21 years working with at-risk pregnant and parenting students and their families. I have also been a member of TACSAP and involved with my district SHAC committee for most of those 21 years. It is important that you know I'm an educator because I believe in transparency and confidentiality. I've been trained, mentored, and practiced the fact that as an educator, I live in a glass house. My actions and words can be seen as a direct reflection of my values, character, and teaching. I guard my emails and text messages concerning students and sensitive personal information with integrity. While I believe the SHAC committee meetings should be posted beforehand, open to the public, and minutes posted soon after the meeting, it would be detrimental for the SHAC committee to be considered a government entity and for all the volunteers to be subject to the Open Records Act. While I live in a glass house, the community members of the SHAC committee do not. The committee is not made up of elected officials, and the majority of the committee is made up of parent volunteers who want the very best for all of our children, but also do not want their personal cell phones and computers considered open to the public. They do not have the experiences I've had in public education, nor would we expect that. We want open engagement, discussion, and creativity from our community members. We already compete with family time and extracurricular activities when looking for members of the SHAC committee, and it is hard to find volunteers from across our district that reflect our diverse students and population. We welcome guests to ask questions and to voice opinions at all of our meetings. The Open Records Act would be a huge deterrent for potential committee members. There are not many people that are comfortable knowing at any moment their personal information could go public. While human reproduction is a major topic, it is not the most talked about topic in committee meetings. We spend most of our time talking about the mental and physical health of our children and the programs we can implement to ensure those needs are top priority. The volunteers shouldn't have a fear factor governing their participation on the committee. Turning a committee of parent volunteers into a governmental entity just isn't necessary, and it would hurt our schools, our students, and our community. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of this witness, members? I think show Representative Tellerico present, and I recognize Representative Tellerico.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here. Can you tell us a little bit more about what a SHAC does and why those activities shouldn't be considered as part of a governmental entity?
Yes. Well, we are part of the school district, so the school district is open to everyone, and we are governed by our school board, which is a part of a governmental entity which is open to the open records. Our SHAC committee is made up of, each school has a PTO, and they have a representative that are welcome to a part of their responsibility is to come be a part of our SHAC committee. We also have doctors, outside nurses, and several of our school nurses. Any of our school district personnel are subject to the Open Record Act, of course, but our SHAC committee minutes are posted on our website for the district. We talk about them openly. Everyone is invited to attend, so we are very open with what we do, and we post the minutes right after the meetings. And so we go through, and nothing that we pass goes straight to the school, goes straight to the children or to the school. Everything we pass goes to our school board, which is governed, right?
So members of SHAC don't make any decisions about a school district?
No, we
Right.
are presented. So let's give an example. Our high school health curriculum, we follow TEA guidelines, and we have sections in there about the reproduction system, about sex education. We have an outside person that presented to the SHAC committee. We approved what that curriculum, those 3 days. We sent the notices to the parents. The parents have the option to opt out for their children. Their children just are not in the classroom for that day. They're doing an alternative study. We heard the presentation. We voted to recommend that we use this particular curriculum. It went to our school board, and our school board had the final say.
So you advise the decision makers, you aren't a decision maker?
Exactly.
The school board can overrule you at any moment?
The school board, we have a school board member on the committee, so there's always representation at the SHAC committee.
But they can ignore what y'all propose or
They
recommend?
could say, find another way, find something different.
Or decide on their own what they want to do?
Well, anything that pertains to the SHAC committee goes through the SHAC committee. So the school board wouldn't automatically say, we're going to do our own thing. They would send it back to the committee for a recommendation.
And so, because I mean, I have a district advisory committee made up of constituents, and I can't imagine getting anyone to sign up for that if they were subject to open records requests, because they aren't the policymaker. They advise me as the policymaker, and everything they give is advice or recommendations. Same, as a matter of fact, for anyone who comes and testifies here at the Public Education Committee. They are advising and recommending, but they themselves are not the policymakers. The folks on the dais are. So I think it's an important distinction. And thank you for helping us distinguish between those two.
Thank you.
Any further questions of this witness, members? Not hearing any, thank you for being here, and thank you for your testimony.
Thank you very much.
Chair calls Michelle Smith.
Now I'll be able to read. Glasses keep fogging up. Good morning, members. My name is Michelle Smith. I'm the state coordinator for Texas Action for Healthy Kids, which is a nonprofit organization that's worked through schools on issues relating to childhood obesity for over 20 years. I also serve on the steering committee for the Partnership for Healthy Texas, and I'm here to testify against this bill. I'm a parent of 2 Austin ISD graduates, and I served on the Austin ISD SHAC for almost 20 years. I know I don't look that old, but during that time, we worked on many different health issues for our district. Just so you know a little bit more about what SHACs do that relate to things other than health curriculum. Our first task as a SHAC was to help the district determine how to implement 135 minutes of physical activity for elementary school students. I don't know, some of you probably remember when that bill passed. We also helped implement healthy vending policies. We worked to improve school meals. We helped get outdoor shade structures into a bond election so that our kids had places to play outside. And we worked on a strong recess policy, which would have never been passed without the School Health Advisory Council. When there were issues with bullying in Austin ISD, we helped draft a process for ensuring students and families would have a safe way to deal with the problems. When parents expressed concern over medical protocols, we set up a subcommittee to review and make recommendations on new procedures to make parents feel better and more comfortable with how medications were distributed. I'm really proud of the work our SHAC did and proud that our parents had a strong voice in positive change for our district. Over the past 20 years, we've worked with the legislature to make changes to the SHAC legislation several times, and those changes have helped the SHACs be stronger. However, this current legislation is very concerning. I understand the need for transparency, and I support the intentions of having SHAC meetings open. Ours have always been open to the public. But if you make SHACs a government entity to ensure they follow open meeting rules, you're putting a major barrier for recruiting parents and volunteers from this community. Asking a parent to be willing to submit their emails and text messages on request, which could be required, is definitely going to discourage parents and community members' participation. With everything school districts are dealing with around child health, SHACs are more important now than ever. SHACs are helping identify community resources to support schools reopening. They're even helping with meal distribution. And there are continuing issues like vaping and opioid addiction that still need to be addressed, and the SHACs can help do that. Mental health issues that have been brought on by the pandemic are something that also SHACs can help access resources to help make decisions on what the district should be implementing. So before you pass a new rule on SHACs, please make sure it's not one that makes it impossible for them to continue the good work. SHACs were not meant to be government entities. They were meant to be community and parent volunteers sharing their knowledge and expertise on health topics and helping advise the district on finding the best solutions to health issues facing our children. How many SHACs are there out there that are really not open, having open meetings? I do a lot of trainings with SHACs, and I'm not aware of very many that don't have open meetings. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Please do not pass this legislation.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. But let me ask you this. What, if anything, would you do differently if this bill passed?
If this bill passed, it's just going to make it very challenging for our school districts and our SHACs to recruit people. So all I can do, I mean, I'm not sure how we deal with it. How do you tell a parent, look, we want you to volunteer to help advise the district, but just know that your emails may be subject to investigation if somebody decides they don't like what you advised. So how do I explain to my community and my parents?
So you think
that's
it'll
not the
be
case?
harder to recruit people to serve on the SHAC?
Yes. What doctor do you know that wants to volunteer advice to a group like the SHAC and then find out he's going to have to submit his emails and texts and everything because somebody didn't like what he recommended? I mean,
Okay.
it's going to be hard to get community members or parents.
Okay. So you don't think it'll change anything you actually do? It'll just be more difficult to recruit people?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And that's the voice. I mean, that's the parent voice. SHACs
Right.
were set up to be 51% parent voice. And those parents can't be heard if they can't volunteer.
Okay. Any further questions of this witness, members? Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair calls Michelle Smith. That's her. Okay, well, no, I think we got it the first time. Chair calls Lori Kirkendall.
Good morning, Chairman Dutton, members of the committee. My name is Lori Kirkendall. I'm here to testify to you. Thank you for the opportunity in full support of Senate Bill 347. I serve as President and CEO of Medical Institute for Sexual Health. We are a national science-based public health research and education organization founded here in Austin in 1992. I previously served as executive director of Aim for Success, which is the largest provider of live sex education programs in Texas. Over the last 25 years, I have worked with at least 50 different school health advisory councils. And as I've stated, I am in full support of this important bill. This bill requires all SHACs to be operated as open governmental bodies like the school boards they support. It will help clarify the role of and strengthen the effectiveness of SHACs and ensure that they are compliant with their original intent set forth in Texas Education Code 28-004, which I have provided in its entirety for you this morning. You may be aware that the State Board of Education adopted new health education TEKS in November for the first time in 20 years. I served on several work groups and provided invited testimony to the SBOE, specifically addressing content on reproductive and sexual health. Given the extended content in the new revised TEKS, SHACs are needed now more than ever to make curriculum recommendations that comply with the Education Code, fulfill the TEKS, and most importantly, as we've heard, reflect the values of the local community of all 1,029 Texas school districts. The SHACs I've worked with are all over the map on membership, policies, and procedures. Many have conducted their work with limited accessibility and transparency for the local community. The original intent of SHACs is clear to reflect the values of the community in selecting health curriculum, including human sexuality curriculum. To do so, its members and activities need to be open and accountable to the parents and families they serve. I'm hopeful this bill will allow SHACs to better serve their communities and promote the optimal health of all their students, and will provide a means of ensuring compliance in all districts. Thank you.
Any questions of this witness, ma'am? Members? Not hearing any. Thank you for your testimony,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Kirkendall. The chair calls Julia Grizzard.
Good morning. My name is Julia Grizzard. I am the Executive Director of the Bexar County Education Coalition testifying against the bill. As background, the Bexar County Education Coalition represents 16 area Bexar County districts that serve approximately 360,000 students. Our districts range in size from 1,000 to 100,000 and are rural, suburban, urban, fast growth, recapture, and military ISDs. While we have submitted written testimony opposing similar school health advisory committee bills as well as registered cards against others, we felt it was important to testify today to clarify our concerns and possibly offer a solution to address the concerns of parents. We want to emphasize that our districts firmly believe transparency for parents and families is essential. Several of our districts have recruited members from throughout their community to ensure all viewpoints are represented, while other districts regularly post meetings, as was mentioned before, when they occur and the agenda for the meeting. We know that districts can do more to ensure that action taken on sensitive curricular topics are available for public comment. However, we believe that the appropriate forum for that feedback is with the Board of Trustees, a group of elected officials trained in Open Meetings Act regulations with technical assistance support, not with a voluntary advisory group that has no authority to make the final decision over curriculum like the SHAC. Instead of creating the only school district advisory committee to be treated as a governing body, we suggest the Board of Trustees treat any change to curriculum, such as human sexuality, similar to how the school board treats districts' budgetary processes. This would make and mandate that the district must have the decisions read and reviewed at least twice before any public action can be taken. We hope that this ensures adequate time for public comment and for participation. We want to emphasize again that providing transparency to our families is vital, and our testimony today is by no means a refusal to continue to work towards collaboration. We believe that we can accomplish this goal by mandating our Board of Trustees ensure the public can adequately participate in the evaluation process. Thank you. Happen to address any questions.
Members, are there any questions of this witness? Not hearing any. Thank you, Ms. Grizzard. Chair calls Corey Vessa.
Hello, I'm Corey Vessa. I am Vice President of the Round Rock ISD Board of Trustees. And I just wanted to talk to a little bit about the concerns raised in the testimony and agree with them. I'm right now trying to find some new volunteers for the shack, and it's not an easy.
Tell us your position on the bill.
I'm the Vice President of the school board in Round Rock ISD.
And your position on the bill.
Oh, my position on the bill is, I guess I'm against it, yeah. Because.
Well, you're guessing or you?
No, I'm against it.
Okay, all right.
But maybe they can fix it, because the open meetings and being subject to open records is a real problem. I mean, I have a real hard time recruiting people to serve on this committee. And if all of their messages, their emails, everything, they have to maintain them, I don't know that I would ever get someone to volunteer, to be honest. I'm actually talking to someone today about volunteering. And if I told her, oh, and by the way, you're going to have to maintain all your records on your phone and your emails, all that's subject to open records, she'd be like, no, thank you. Oh, and all these meetings are recorded and posted, so if you say anything wrong, it'll be in perpetuity and you're going to get, skewered. I don't know that I could find a single person willing to do this. It's really hard enough just to find anybody willing in the first place.
Let me ask, is anybody allowed in your meetings?
Yeah,
Can anybody just come?
absolutely.
Do you publish notice of those meetings anywhere?
That's a good question. You're right, that should be definitely more advertised. I would have to follow up with staff to see how they're published. I know that I get notifications of them being published, but whether they're published widely, I'd have to follow up with staff. And I can definitely get back to you on that. That wouldn't be hard. I can follow up with
Okay,
that.
I just wondered, because I think the bill just tries to open the proceedings of the meeting. At least that's where I perceive it, anyway.
I think that's really good feedback, and I will definitely work to make sure that our district is doing a good job advertising the meetings and making sure that anyone who likes to attend, even if they're not on the shack, is welcome to be there.
All right. Any further questions of this witness, members? Not hearing any. Thank you, Ms. Vessa, for being
Thank
here. Is there anyone else here who would like to testify for, on, or against Senate Bill 347? Not hearing any. The chair recognizes. Oh, there is a person. Have you registered?
Yes, I did.
You did? Please, your name?
Deborah Simmons.
I'm sorry?
Deborah Simmons.
Deborah Simmons? Do we have a Deborah Simmons? Okay. Chair calls Deborah Simmons.
Thank you so much. My name is Deborah Simmons. I'm an individual here for Senate Bill 347. Thank you to the chair and committee for this hearing and the opportunity to discuss transparency issues around school health advisory councils, also known as SHACs in the state of Texas. I served almost 2 years on my school district SHAC and learned about Texas Education Code 28.004. In 2012, parents and citizens learned about SHACs after a recommendation was considered by the Board of Trustees. We filed open records requests trying to find out when the SHAC meetings had been held, who attended the SHAC meetings, and what decisions had been made. We searched emails and meeting postings to figure out who had been notified about these meetings. In 1995, Texas Education Code 28.004 was established to foster parental rights, provide transparency, and establish local control and accountability on the subject of human sexuality instruction. The SHAC responsibilities have been expanded through the years to include all coordinated school health programming, including health education, physical education activity, recess policies, nutrition services, substance abuse prevention, school health services, mental health services, comprehensive school counseling programs, a safe and healthy school environment, suicide awareness, opioid addiction and abuse, meal distribution, and school employee wellness, to name a few subjects covered in these important groups. SHACs assist the district in ensuring that local community values are reflected in the district's health education instruction. This is an important council in each district doing important work. In November 2020, the State Board of Education adopted new Health Texas Essential Knowledge and Skill Standards, also known as TEKS, with 617 student expectations across 24 topics for kindergarten through 12th grade, sorted into 6 strands, including physical health and hygiene, mental health and wellness, healthy eating and physical activity, injury and violence prevention and safety, alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs, and reproductive sexual health. Parents deserve full and fair disclosure of the health curriculum. Thank you.
All right, thank you for being here, Ms. Simmons. Any questions of this witness? Not hearing any. Thank you. Now, is there anyone else here who would like to testify on, for, or against Senate Bill 347? Not hearing any, the chair recognizes Representative Hefner to close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. These SHACs are very important to what's being taught to our kids, and this bill just seeks to increase the transparency and allow parents to be more involved in the process, earlier in the process, if they so choose. And I appreciate y'all's consideration and close.
Let me ask this, as I asked the other witness, would it be helpful to the senator who sponsors this bill and yourself if we simply required the SHACs to publish notice of the meetings and where the meetings would be held, rather than going the full length of, as one of the witnesses testified, having their emails sort of subject to being to the Open Records Act and that sort of thing?
So that's something I would be glad to visit with the committee members or yourself, Mr. Chairman, and the Senator Paxton. Maybe somewhere where we could just say you must, provide notice of the meeting and allow people to attend.
Yes.
And maybe without going all the way, something that I would be willing to discuss with the senator and the members of this committee. Sure.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Any questions of Representative Hefner, members? Not hearing any. Thank you. Mr. Chair's intent to leave Senate Bill 347 as a matter of pending business before the full committee without objection.